discussed is because everyone's trying to split what American culture looks like, right? So you can have me, right? My family was born in Haiti, right? But here's the thing. If someone like JT go and say, oh, go back to your shithole country, I have all this privilege. At the exact same time, say America sucks because of racism. How? How can you do that? How on one side say it's so shitty, and then on the other side say it's so great, and you have all this privilege? That's the screwed up part about it.
Well, JT's not in here, so.
No, but I'm just giving you a prime example. Like, how do you? Like, no. Here's the thing, though, right, Co? How can you say that there's so much hate in America where you can tell Mexicans and all these other people to leave America? This isn't your country, right? But at the exact same time, when they're no longer here, you don't feel like this is your country anymore because of white people. How do you play both sides?
Oh, good. So for whatever, so I hear. Basically, when we have these conversations, let's just cut to the chase. What people are really saying is, we're tired of black people complaining. Go back to Africa. If you got a complaint and you're getting all these benefits, I'm sick of it. I used to empathize with you guys, but you black people are crying too much. You're taking too much. You're too much on the government bill. That's really what the conversation is. You don't really mean what you mean, right? What you're saying, YB, like for instance, you would never tell Mojo or JB that they should disown Jewish culture and stop speaking pro-Jewish or Zionist culture, right? So you're just literally speaking about the fatigue that you have with black people wanting to have equal justice in America. That's usually what the conversation is. So let me just cut it to the chase so that we don't have to circle around it. You would never tell a Jewish person that why do you have to be all Jewish and Israeli since you're in America? Why don't you just forget about Israel? You'd never do that. So when you're talking about black people, you're playing into the historic subjugation and demonization of the culture that was picking the cotton. That's what you're really doing. I'll leave it there.
No,
well said, well said.
No, but CO, that's not.
Yeah,
really
and I don't know if Sarah and you were in the chat talking about. I'm trying to. We should divide American culture. What does that mean?
Wait, what are you talking about?
What'd you put in the chat?
I don't even know you. Yeah, this is crazy. So, CO, listen. All I'm saying is this, right? I don't deal with this whole people complain. I don't deal with this whole weird people complaining about shit that they can fix for themselves, right? Or I don't complain about things that I can't change, right? Things happen, right? Okay, 500 years. Well, guess what? If you look before the United States was here, you had the French and the Spaniards and the Portuguese, right? Why aren't they in the conversation? Because they're the ones that actually started everything that's here on the West, not the United States. But that's not being discussed,
it's
right?
relative. I have a property. Most of the names are Native American names on all the streets, the signs, the community. So I think there's a mixture of cultures in terms of what started the United States. That's a whole story, but let me just.
Yeah, I know that, but can you go through the timeline, right? What does the timeline say? Right? I'm not worried about the streets and the signs and deja vu, even though that's French, but we use it like on every other day in America, right? I'm talking about where it all started from, right? Because if we want to start in say 500 years, right, we got to look further, right? Right? I mean, that's all I'm saying. That's literally all I'm saying.
It's a big conversation that we're having. So we can look at 500 years, we can look 5,000, we can look 50,000. We can talk about the original people in America, in the Americas. We can talk about all kinds of things. Historically, we're just programmed to discuss what we discuss. That's why the conversation is about where did you learn it. My answer to the question, we learn it every goddamn word, from the books to the home. Our parents don't even know how to unpack half this shit. So if we're ever to get past it, and just like Mojo said, he don't have all these conversations. I don't either. I rock with all colors of people. I don't have these conversations everywhere, but they have them on Clubhouse. I've participated in a couple of them. But at the end of the day, if you guys want to Google Jane Elliott, she has the Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes Project, Of course, nobody that doesn't have to have this conversation wouldn't want to have this conversation. Some of the people who are more vested in it are the people who care about the issues, just like any other political or cultural issue that happens. People talk about the shit that matters to their culture. I've never been raped. You know what I'm saying? But there's women that have been endured a domestic abuse that have these conversations because they or somebody in their environment has been affected. I can't say let's stop talking about domestic abuse. Let's have a great day. No, to a woman that's impacted, that matters. So people talk about the shit that matters to them. Let me just say this really quick and I'll land. Who benefits from all this divisiveness? Let's talk about that part. And the sidebar, Trump complains about America all day, every day. I'm so sick of him whining and complaining about what Joe did and what Barack did and what this president didn't do and what all these other people didn't do. So he's the complainer in chief all the goddamn time, but that's a whole other story. But who benefits from the divisiveness, right? Who benefited from the Indians against each other, the Cherokees and the Creek? You know what I'm saying? The Algonquins and the Comanches. Who benefited from that, right? America did. That's the only reason they were able to take over the country, because they pitted this Indian group against that American group. Black people, light skin against dark skin. Who benefited from that? Slave owners. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, in this world that we're living in right now today, people are benefiting from exacerbating the Civil War fault line, pitting white people against black people, blue lives against black lives. You know what I'm saying? This is, to me, this is about design. Leftists. We used to have a thing politically where people at least worked on bipartisan stuff as a North Star. Even if we didn't get it done, there was an ambition and an aspiration from it. Now it's the demonization of parties. So there are people who actually politically benefit from dividing and fragmenting Americans. And it's not just black people that's sitting up here making this stuff up. There's some people, even black people are, arguing against Caribbean, talking about who's foundational and who's here and there. People who are in position to gain power always benefit from a fragmented electorate. So let's talk about the beneficiaries that are exploiting people for their own political and profit, the political gain and profit gain. That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, CEO. And I'm all for that discussion too, because I see it all day. That's why I don't buy into it. I'm just scared because, hoping that people, more people actually see that and stop buying into it and actually work together. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, if there is a World War III, this conversation's done with, right? I'm all for going to war again at this point. You know why? Because I know we'll all come together as Americans and we'll stop these conversations.
America today.
He's willing to go fight World War III so we can stop talking about racial identity politics.
I kind of slightly disagree with the statement that someone said earlier that we aren't having these conversations in public. I feel like we're having them ad nauseum, and to CEO's point, I'm not sure it's actually helping. I think my generation and the generation before me were kind of damned. You know, I mean, they tried really, really hard to kind of inject the cultural, awareness into everybody. But I think, like someone said, it's kind of backfired slightly. I have a young kid, and I'll tell you two things. I want a diverse classroom, 1,000%. I also don't want that diverse classroom to be spending every 5 minutes talking about how each of those kids are different. I think the way we get over this is to have absolutely diversity. But in my experience, watching my young daughter, if you just put them in a classroom with diverse kids, they don't know the history of every single thing. They don't know how the blacks were, unfortunately enslaved. There was another Jewish issue, the Holocaust, there were another Japanese issue. All they know is they walk up to a white kid, they see them, they say hi, they shake hands, and they're friends for the next year. And to me, that's the way that we make this thing work, is we just, instead of highlighting the differences from the age of 3, we just let them walk in, figure out that they're cool people, and just make the diversity normal without having to stress over and over and over again. Like if my 8-year-old daughter meets someone who's Japanese, I don't understand. There's a better than zero chance that her grandparents were an internment camp during World War II. That's not necessary for them to know. All they need to know is this kid's Japanese. I think she's great. Let's play Legos together. And I think as long as we normalize the diversity and not hyper stress on the history, I actually think that gives the next generation hope. I feel like our generation and the generation before us, the generation before that, we're squabbling all the time, and it's always a big fight about who had the worst experience. And the reality is lots of people had bad experiences, and I think the key is just to move on from it. That's my thought. Keep the diversity, but don't keep the harping on it. Just make it naturally, meld together in time with the latest generations, and run our generation off because we're screwed. That's my thought anyway.
Man, listen, every time you hear this from a white person, I'm just like roll my eyes because I'm like, I don't know if you're in the U.S., but we have direct correlations to health disparities in this country based on racial skin tones because inequalities have not been addressed, right? You can't just gloss over the fact that we have problems in society because I'm conveniently white and that my group doesn't have those problems. That's not how we move forward as a society.
Let me clarify. I'm Jewish. I'm not just
yes,
white.
you fall into the white category. I don't care if you're Jewish.
Dude, I'm subjected to all this stuff too, and I still don't want everyone to know about the Holocaust. My kid's best friend who happens to be black to know that her grandparent died in the Holocaust. It's not relevant. So this isn't just I'm a white dude thing. I'm part of an oppressed group as well. But I don't see how it benefits my kid to make sure all of her friends.
It does not help society to have one group consistently behind based on things that they have control. I think it's ridiculous. Go ahead, man.
Hold on a second, Black Girl, if I could. Hey, Mark and Mother, for what it was worth, the intersection between both of your idealism and my humble opinion is both of you are saying something. You're saying that the way we address whatever diversity is supposed to be, however we address culturally, working together in the future, it has to be redefined and done properly. Both of you are saying that. So we're to Mojo's point, we're not going to get that shit right today. But what we know is the way that we've been doing it, between conversations in here or whatever, there is a pathway. There is a way to do this. I think it's implicit bias, grade level certifications that are mutual, that doesn't just deal with here's slavery, here's the Holocaust, blah, 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 these things bad, blah, blah, blah. I think there's a strategic way that nobody's yet implemented that we can help our children learn how to dispense with their biases in a more fruitful way and a more intelligent way. That's the baseline. Whatever that thing is, that's X, we can define it. We just haven't done a proper job, so we're all on bullshit. Every adult, every human that has the capacity to do it, everybody black and white that's complaining about the shit, we're just saying that we haven't done it right. And that is a freaking fact.
I agree with you. Like I said just a second ago, I feel like our generation and the generation before us is screwed. And so whatever we've been trying so far hasn't been working. I think getting the nice diverse school group together, but without hopping on it, which is what we have been doing, is a different tactic. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I think what we're doing now is not working. I agree with you.
And I'm gonna see the Florida King, smart guy.
Wait, did this black want to go? The young lady, she was trying to go.
I'm gonna let Black Girl, please let you go. I just want to say this before I tip out in a minute, or for whatever it's worth. Hey, Black Girl, you know what? Let me respect the woman. King would probably suggest that be done. Let me let you speak, Black Girl. Please go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
Yes, I wanted to ask Sarah what she meant by me being a victim. I can't stand when Asian people call black people victims. What do you mean I'm a victim?
No, why don't you just stop calling?
Why are you calling me a victim? My people are not victims, man. We're survivors. What are you talking about? And then you made a comment in there about no reparations. I'm not even addressing you or talking to you. You started with me.
You're so obsessed with me that you're even like.
Oh, please, honey, no, don't go there. That's a downer.
This is what they mean. This is what they mean by saying, women shouldn't be on the stage. I kind of get it.
So are you trans, Sarah? Well, like, what do you identify? Are you not a woman?
I don't know. Do you identify as a woman?
I'm just wondering, because that comment
I'm wondering because your name is Mother, so I will call you she from now on. I'm sorry.
You can call me she, I don't care.
Okay. Perfect.
Call me whatever you want.
You know what? I just don't hear enough of in this conversation ever is the acknowledgement that in-group preference exists. in-group preference could be related to a race. It could be related to a religion. It could be related to your own home, your own neighborhood. Sports fans have their own in-group preference. Try sitting in the wrong section of a Raider game with your Chiefs hat on. You'll find out about in-group preference real quick. It exists. The question is, how do you take in-group preference, acknowledge that it's a real thing, and then try to ease the worst of the consequences that come from it? Because we're not going to get rid of in-group preference. This is something we're wired with. And so I think what we need to learn is we need to figure out, okay, can we acknowledge what our in-group preferences are? And then just figure out how to not kill each other. I think if we were to do something that approached that, I think we'd be better off than just listing grievances.
Hey, Roger, the problem comes in when the government have an in-group preference. That's where the problem comes
I 100% agree with you. And this is why I am much more interested in ideas than I am with identity. If I'm trying to figure out, who would be likely to harm me or want to kill me, it's usually the ideas that they have and not their identity.
I think Bojo, for whatever it's worth, I think you make a good point, and then I'm a Cleveland Browns fan for whatever it's worth, man. We get shit no matter what. No matter what color I am, we get it all over the place, for whatever. So I do agree with the concept of, humans are human. We're a wretched species that dislikes what we like, and there's nothing wrong with that. To me, that's why I hate when people say that I'm colorless and race doesn't exist. If you can't see my big ass nose and my brown skin, then you already got a problem. I think we should recognize people for our diversity without alienating people for it, more in a celebratory way, and let people be a part of their tribe. And what I'm saying is, to that goal or that aspiration or that North Star, we just need a collective process. Somebody just need to sit down on a curriculum or some programming that we do it so we don't have to have these dumbass conversations 20 years from now. So I agree with you, but we gotta all say that the thing is broken and we can fix it so we don't have to have these stupid conversations. I'll leave it there.
Well, I think it's easy for everybody else to say get over it when the Black Holocaust hasn't been paid for. When you have Americans in this country that know the Black Holocaust happened and then call it handouts when it's really a debt that's owed to our ancestors. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not victim, that's a survivor. And we have to do it because my thing is this. My thing is this. If we're going to embrace being Americans, then you have to pay for the original Holocaust that happened in America. I'm not mad at money that went to Jewish survivors. I think it should go to them. I'll be honest with you. I think there's a lot of reparations owed to a lot of people here. But until we can face our history, how the hell do you stop talking about race? It's never going to happen.
Well, I was just going to say, I think everybody's bingo card is complete now. Anytime we go through the popular terms here, reparations is usually the final word on the bingo card. So congratulations, we've all got a bit
missed on regime change. Yeah, and to King's point, I mean, I get 100% what he's saying. The trouble is there's no definition of success. To follow up on for reparations, for example, and I'm not saying that it's not justified either, but let's say reparations are finally given to the African American community, and good luck to them. The Japanese might just say, what about us? We were stuck in friggin' internment shit camps. This is bullshit. What about our shit? To someone's point, there's been a lot of people who've been horribly affected. That doesn't mean you shouldn't make up for it. But I don't know how you're ever going to get to the point where you're like, okay, we have addressed this. I don't think there's literally I don't think there's an end to that. There's always going to be something or someone who is very legitimately aggrieved. There's no finish line. We can address it a little bit. We're never going to be able to completely address it. So I don't know how that is going to make the conversation suddenly stop.
Hey, you do realize the Japanese for internment camps did get reparations.
I do realize that. But, there's certainly people out there who can claim that, they've been affected a couple generations down the line. Similarly, the way that, people in the African American community very legitimately say, look, you know, we've been affected a couple generations down the line.
That's not the same argument. I mean, if they would have gave reparations to the slaves, then nobody down the line would be making that argument. Just like the Japanese got their reparations, so there's no way down the line some Japanese should be making that argument. So you trying to conflate some stuff that don't make any sense, but you can go off on something.
Well, we can agree to disagree, I suppose, but I think there's a lot.
You just wrong. You just flat wrong. I disagree.
No, everything you said was facts, bro. I think the thing is, a lot of people in Clubhouse like to argue opinions, and that facts. What Akima said was facts. Germany paying reparations to Holocaust survivors is facts, right? Obama earmarking money to Holocaust survivors is facts, right? Like
the Japanese getting reparations is fact, right? I'm with you, Ken.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Hold on. Let me just respond to Akima though. Here's the difference, though, Akima, is that and I don't want to get in a debate about reparations, but there is a difference in the fact that the internees themselves were given money. It wasn't people after the fact asking for the money. It was the internees themselves that got the money. And so you hold on, and I know that the response would be, yeah, well, that's why, you know, the people that were oppressed back in the day, they should have got it. The other thing is the dollar amount. It was $20,000. I have a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion that if the government was to come forward and say, hey, if you can prove any ancestry, any lineage whatsoever to those that were enslaved or impacted in any way through Jim Crow laws, here's $20,000. I would bet that would open a bigger can of worms, and that because the dollar amount that I've seen people asking for was like something like $4 quadrillion or something like that, which is like $150 million per person, right? So I mean, if you're chasing down the Japanese model, again, you got to consider it was the actual internees, and they only got 20,000.
Hey, Roger, I think you missed Mark what he said. What he said about black people.
I was responding to you. I'm not talking to Mark.
Right. No, I'm just saying. I'm telling you what messed up with the question, what you just said, though. Because I said everything you said. What he said was that black people talking about reparations. He's like, what the Japanese want reparations? Like, they got it. I just cleared up that they got it. So by him saying that was false. Then by me responding to that about Japanese got there, then they're going to say, well, some of them can still make the claim down the road that they didn't get their money. It's comparing it to black people, which don't make no sense, and we never got a dime from the get-go. Like, he's conflating things, trying to make an argument that has no grounded in reality. He's like stretching the truth somewhere. And not stretching the truth, just flat out lying.
I'm not combative with you. I told you I think it's totally legit if they get reparations. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just trying to make the point that it's not.
Can I opt out of paying it?
I'm not even asking for reparations. I'm just doing.
No, I'm asking Mark. Mark's saying he believes that that people should get it. I'm just asking, can I opt out of paying it?
You gotta give your citizenship. You gotta give up your citizenship out there and out the country.
No one's paying reparations.
Where do you want me to go? You want me to go to Liberia?
Go to Portugal.
Hello, can you hear me?
Actually, take your white dollars and go to DR. You buy some problem.
I don't like their food, respectfully.
So it's too rice heavy. You know, I also think like some people just don't like Latino food. I don't like too many Mexican food, to be honest. I think tacos are overrated. The corn tortillas.
I think you're fucking overrated. Tacos are amazing.
Oh, there we go. Corn tortillas are nasty.
Oh, now you've fucking done it. Listen, I'm not even gonna respond. Doesn't even work. Not even.
For the record, I really wasn't trying to offend you. All I was trying to make the point of is that there's a lot of people in this country who have been aggrieved over the course of our history, unfortunately. And so I think the statement that we can't stop talking about this until it's been properly addressed, I think the word properly addressed is going to be a moving goalpost. And, you know, let's say tomorrow, and this is hypothetical, let's say tomorrow, to someone's point, they said, okay, every African American who's been brutally enslaved in America gets 50 grand. Maybe there's a portion of African Americans that say, thank you, you've addressed it. But there's going to be another portion of Americans who say that's bullshit, that's not nearly enough.
Yeah.
So it's not actually going to address it.
So let me respond to Alyssa in the chat. Alyssa says 20,000 in 18. What the hell is that noise? What the hell's going on? Okay, so Alyssa says in the chat that 20,000 in 1860 is equivalent to approximately 774,000. The problem is that $20,000 that was paid to the Japanese was paid in 1988. So what you would have to do is you would have to say you'd have to say to yourself, if we were to issue reparations now, what is $20,000 in 88 worth today?
And Roger, like this same person, Alisa, just 10 minutes ago in the chat, she was saying Holocaust is history. I mean, do we have slaves right now? Because we have Holocaust survivors. Like, I don't even understand how can you say Holocaust is history, you know, when we still have Holocaust survivor, and then ask for reparation when we don't have any slave survivors. Like, this is like generations gone. But, and then she says I'm racist for saying,
That's not true. There are some slave survivors. There are still there were slaves that were working all the way to 1960s, ma'am. Sit down.
Really? Can you? Hold on. Can somebody post, Black, can you please post your receipts in the chat for everyone to see that there were slaves in 1960?
Okay. I mean, there are people
Go Google it.
Wait, there are people in forced labor today. What are we talking about that exists? Like,
They
slavery is
still
not
got plantations. What are you talking about? Go Google it. You'll figure it out. I think what was the Whitney plantation was the last plantation.
Hello, can y'all hear me? Still on mute, JW.
can you give us a list of black survivors that are slave survivors?
Fuck you.
I don't understand. Why are you so so into black people getting reparations? I thought you said you were from Iran.
You just claimed we have slave survivors. I said I want to see that list because there is no such a thing. You just made shit.
What do you mean there's no such a thing? No, you're not even black, so sit down.
Show us. I don't have to be black. You guys are asking.
Then don't speak on reparations. It doesn't affect you. It does not affect you.
Listen, well, it's my fucking money.
Stop calling me a victim. You don't have no right to call me a victim. I'm not no motherfucking victim.
And you're claiming there are slave survivors, and I want to see a list of those slave survivors.
Go Google it.
You guys have the audacity to say Holocaust is history, but then you say we have slave survivors.
I never said that. I never said that, ma'am. I never said that.
If you have noise in the background, please mute. It sounded like the flea market.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, so, you guys been all over the place with this. And like a lot of times, you can't really have a conversation if you can't even have an agreement. So let's just agree on this. And there was black people who were held in bondage in this country, okay? And that bondage ended in 1865 for some, and then a little later for the rest. But the things that happened between 1865 and 1965 were probably worse in some regards. So I know everybody wants to think that when slavery was over in 1865, that was the end of it. When that was actually the beginning. That's when the black codes and all of the state laws and all of the, as commerce, grew and grew, black people were locked out. We had the Freedmen's Bank that was stolen from us. That money went to white men, and they speculated and lost all that Freedmen's Bank money. I know half of y'all don't even know what the fuck the Freedmen's Bank is, okay? And the Freedmen's Bureau, and all those things that were set forth to help black people become
successful in the United States were taken away, and then you had the whole, uh, running black people off of their lands in the South and take, just make all this is history. I don't have to sit here and tell you. I know a lot of you don't know it, but this thing really happened. So when you sit there talking about reparations for slavery, hey, well, yeah, slavery stopped back then, but there's so much other shit that happened. And then let's just talk about the pure fact that, white people should be ashamed of themselves. They can't read. They really should. They should be, they should be mocked and ridiculed. White people, if they can't read. But black people, hey, they actually made laws to make sure that we weren't able to read, and the penalty of reading sometimes being able to read was death. So, people here, I know you don't know anything, most of you. I can just listen to your mouth and tell that you don't know shit. But I'm here to tell you that, there was another 100 years after that. Now, I've lived through, from the 50s to now, I've seen a lot of changes, and a lot of things were getting better. But then, when Obama got elected, that is when white people lost their mind. It's just like the white people who didn't want disco music. I know y'all don't know this story, so I'm gonna tell it to you. So right around in the 70, about 75 all the way to 90, 79 to 80, disco music was becoming very popular. If they were playing it on all the radio stations, it was taking over. All the rock people, all the rock and rollers were getting mad because disco was taking over. So what did they do? They had a white riot in Chicago at the ballpark to say that they burned all the disco records. Okay, literally started a fucking riot to burn the damn.
Not the disco records.
This is my word. Shit. This is true shit. No, it just tells you how fucking petty.
We should get reparations for them disco records.
You how petty white people are, and you're petty too. Because you can't even let me finish speaking. And I'm telling the truth.
We'll check up with every respect.
No.
No, hang on for a second. No, hang on for a second. Every respect, you have been talking for a long period of time. Could I ask?
Hey, no.
I am being respectful. Believe it or not, I'm actually being respectful.
Hold on, Ro, he's been moved. Listen, Papa Smurf. If you want to fucking have a conversation, you're welcome to join it, but you're not going to fucking hijack it. Just because you're 70 fucking years old and you feel that age makes you wiser, you didn't land a fucking single point. You went from race grievances into, let me tell you about disco in the 70s. We get it, you're fucking...
That was kind of mean.
I agree. It was fucking. It's very disrespectful to compare what black people had to go through to burning disco records. Papa Smurf's a fucking it.
How about him being old?
Hey, that's just a reality. You think he's young? Take a look at his fucking picture. Well, there we go. I like the silence that comes after, we get the lecture. Jesus Christ. Here he is again. Yeah, you know what? How about this? Hold on. I'm gonna clear the stage and I'm gonna say, hey, check this out. Everyone stay on mute. No, hold the fuck on. I'm trying to get up. Well, then I'm gonna just have to move you again.
Hold on, Jay. Hold on. Let him finish.
I'm trying to give you the space to speak, but you're so fucking stupid that you can't even fucking tell that that's happening. Turn up the fucking hearing aids, Grandpa. Get up here. I'll give you 90 seconds to say whatever you wanted to say about disco record.
so embarrassed because I'm telling the truth about white people. White people are fucking petty. That's the problem right there. They think they're superior to everyone on earth.
Racist.
That's the bottom line on this whole shit. And the story about the damn disco is just showing you how fucking petty they are over fucking music. They exercise their white privilege. And fucking shut disco down. It was gone. You don't hear that shit on the radio no more. That's what white people do. And that's what they're doing now. That's this Trumpism shit. That's what we're seeing. So fuck you, white boy.
Okay, so let me just translate that to those of you that don't speak Grandpa Smurf. He basically said that he's mad that disco went out of style. Sorry, maybe we can bring it back. I want to apologize on behalf of white people everywhere. I apologize that we killed disco. If we bring disco back, that will improve race relations moving forward.
Okay, come on now. That's not funny at all. That's a little overboard.
I agree. I think going back into the history books and filing your grievance against white people over burning disco records was a little fucking weird.
You don't think it was a little bit too far?
I'm not going to go back and forth with
you don't think
you,
it was a little bit too far
it
when he was saying all white people are this and we're to blame the white people for this? You don't think that was going too far at all?
Who are you asking? You asking me or who? I don't even know what the fuck you said.
Well, I don't know. Is there a problem with your hearing or is there a problem with my microphone? Please tell me.
No, I need you to repeat what you said. No, there's not a motherfucking problem with my hearing. I think you're fine.
Okay, great. I'm glad you're dropping the F-bomb. Just like I don't know, you connected to Trump in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, it was a very simple question. Did you have a problem in any way, shape, or form?
I don't like the insult.
Well, you actually started off with going in that direction. So I'm sorry if you don't like the heat. Don't bring the heat. It's really simple.
I don't bring hate.
Did you? Okay.
I've been getting hated on this stage, been called a victim and all of that.
Hang for a second. I'm asking you a question, a simple question. Okay, just respectfully. Did you have any problem whatsoever when he was racializing white people at all?
Not really, because he was talking about an experience in history. So no, not really. He was talking about a certain time.
Okay.
He wasn't talking about today. He was talking about a certain time and an experience. No, bitch, I'm not married to Grandpa Smurf. Whoever said that in the chat.
Hey, look.
Ignorant ass.
I forgot more than you people in this fucking room know. Okay? That's just the fucking truth. Now, whoever Rio is, you have something to say to me? Say it to me.
Well, I'm too scared. Let me just go and cower in a corner. Come on. Wow, you're attacking my sexuality. You've known me for like 15 seconds, and
well, if you're a faggot,
I'm gay.
If you're a faggot, you'll shut up, and if you're not, you'll keep talking.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
See how that works?
Geez. Just so I can clarify, I don't intend to be able to shut up. I don't intend to have a conversation with you, though.
Hold on real quick. I'm going to reset the room. JB, we got a little off track here. We had a special guest. Grandpa Smurf came to visit us, and we were talking, surprise, about reparations. Somebody brought up reparations, so of course that becomes the theme of the room. If you keep talking while I'm talking, okay, listen. You're gonna understand. You cannot speak while I'm speaking. It just doesn't work that way. I'm resetting the room. I'm giving the information that JB missed, so he knows the proper context. So Grandpa Smurf comes in and he wants to tell us about all of his wisdom because of he's lived so long and he's lived through all these things. And so that what he wanted to highlight to show and illustrate the pettiness of white people, and this is all before he called Roe a faggot. I thought that was interesting. But But his big grievance, check this out. His big grievance was white people in the 70s burning disco records. You can't make this shit up. Like, he didn't talk about Jim Crow. He didn't talk about slavery. What he said was, white people have gone too far because in the 70s they burned disco records. This really happened.
Tonight at midnight, due to stay on to help with the
I just didn't realize how attached to disco some people were. Look, guys, we can fucking make these records. They're digitized now. We can go listen to them if we'd like to. If you want to listen to disco, man, knock yourself out. Matter of fact, if we get Uncle Steve in here, we could just like play a couple disco songs. A couple requests for Papa Smurf. Let's see. Hold up. Don Harris says, Roger. I don't know who Roger is. The elder did indeed talk about all those things. We were in the room with y'all. Actually, no. What he did is he invoked how old he was, as if that's like that's evidence that he knows everything. I know plenty of old people that don't know shit. He's one of them. And when having an opportunity in this room to impart some wisdom, he decided to talk about disco. Disco records. Go ahead, JW. Talk about disco.
Be careful what you wish for.
No, I decided to make
Most part of the week, any man can be swayed by a single dismember. He thought he could keep that child in secrets. Someone just disgusting.
It's father.
I'm sorry, JW, may I ask you a question?
Oh, Democrat.
How did you feel about disco night when the White Sox had it? They burned like 50,000 records.
When it was happening, I read about it in the paper, but it's the same thing as when they got mad when Jack Johnson, the great white host back in 1990, and the white people went crazy because they lost a boxing match. This is what I'm telling you. These people are petty. You're fucking petty.
Wait, JW, do you think that Jack Johnson got charged with the Mann Act because he beat up a white guy?
Hey, please, we're not talking about that. You want to change the subject? Oh.
You just brought up Jack Johnson.
No, I'm telling you about the white people who went crazy and lost their minds when they lost the fucking fight to a black man.
The unified field theory. Ultimate
Jack Johnson from the Mann Act because Jack Johnson was with white women and he was bragging about it.
Listen, my friend, I get it. I'm very versed in Jack Johnson being charged with the Mann Act, but I was curious because JW brought him up. And I was curious because he beat up a white boxer. Was that the real reasoning you got charged with the Mann Act? Not to bring the white women across the table?
I've never said anything about it. I said what I said. You can ask dumb questions on it.
Divert all remaining power to right on.
Well, then let me just inform you, that's my reputation on the app. I asked some questions.
Well, you lived up to it.
Can I address the title, please?
Well, please, of course.
This is gonna be good. Well, I think racism. I believe racism is taught in the home and on the street society. America is a white supremacist settler colony, Christian nationalist state, and so white supremacy, racism, anti-blackness is played out in the media. It's played out in the homes of Americans of all races, creeds, and colors, nationalities, social economic status. And so, yeah, racism is, I certainly believe that racism is a learned behavior, although otherism is maybe natural to humans. I believe racism itself is a learned behavior, taught behavior, and a socialized ideology.
Thank you. Rose, how you doing, Rose? Long time no speak.
I know, right? No, I'm doing good. Just busy on business. How are you doing, JB?
I'm living my best life here in Brooklyn. You still?
I know. We're supposed to be meeting in Brooklyn.
Well, you say when and where, and I'm there. Cause that pretty smile, but
Absolutely.
I gotta be careful because Rohan down love you are beautiful.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we can call me a beautiful woman as well. So,
Appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so just adding on to the topic, I believe that it's definitely a home learned situation with racism. Having said that, I was actually raised in Namibia. Well, Namibia. South Africa, where apartheid was happening at the time. And, most of our parents were like, the Germans are coming and the English people are coming, so we need to protect ourselves. So my tribe is held in Namibia. And we were actually, pretty much colonized by the Germans, and we had to fight them throughout the war to, to protect our land. So I don't want to say too much, but I feel like it's a holy thing instead of the streets. I'm just gonna mute my mic, but if anybody else wants to say something, I'm available.
Have you experienced racism here in America?
Of course, yes, I have experienced, and funny enough, it's actually from my own people, the blacks, based on the fact that, I'm from Africa, and I've never experienced from other nationals or, American citizens or whatsoever, but mainly from my own people. I'm your mama.
I'm not even
black.
Is that trigger?
What was that? Sorry. Someone made a comment. I think that was you, Sarah. You said black people are the most racist. How dare you say something like that? That's a very ignorant statement.
I'm just honest on my
Hey, I'm listening to Rose.
I'm talking to Sarah.
I'm listening to Rose, and I commented to her, for someone who keeps saying, Sarah, I don't want to be involved in talking to you.
Because you keep making insults.
Everything I write in the chat.
Making insults.
You have to make a comment about it. I don't care what you say. That's my
I don't care either.
You literally said we have slaves in America, and in 1969 we had slaves in America, and you still haven't proved it. So yeah,
I told you to go Google, dummy.
No, I'm not Googling anything. You made it clear.
Well, then don't believe it.
You
don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Don't
believe it. How could you sit up here and say just because they abolished slavery that there still wasn't slavery?
Alright, can we ease up on the black on brown violence? So still happens.
He's not brown.
Okay, so
real life as well. I work in corporate America, and based on the fact that I'm from Africa, I actually experienced more racism with the Black Americans.
Hey, Rose, let me address that, because I hear this all the time what happens.
Oh, go ahead.
And the thing is that here's a reality. It's called othering, right? And you get teased. In the Asian community, they talk about this. They talk about how here in Los Angeles, especially, which has the largest Asian population in the entire United States of America. And you will often hear in the Chinese community, when Chinese would come over from China, how Chinese American children would mock them, make fun of them, make fun of their accents, even making fun of their eyes, because often Chinese American kids may have thought they had American eyes, didn't realize you had the same eyes as a Chinese coming up from China, but would mock them because of their eyes. Or if the person had a little white in them and they had kind of almond-shaped eyes, they would make fun of the Chinese kids. The same thing you happen in the Laotian community as well as in the Korean community versus Korean Americans coming over Koreans coming over into Korean Americans communities, Laotians or Japanese Americans coming over into a Chinese American community. The kids would tease them relentlessly and make fun of them. So if you're foreign, if you're different, yes, you're going to find it. That's not racism. That's just othering you.
And not only that, let me add something, because I know your folks is, on the kids, okay? Well, look, kids are just freaking mean in the first place. I mean, hell, in every middle school or junior high across this country, that's just the way, that was just part of life. You were going to get, if you stood out just a little bit, or, you had a peer group, hey, you're going to get a nickname, you're going to get something. So, not life is not easy.
Let me ask the question. Leave unmute up, thank you. This beautiful woman, Rose, she's driving, right? And she gets pulled over, and the cop says, license, registration, and she got pulled over because she's black, right? So she turned to the cop and said, no, officer, you're wrong, I'm not black, I'm African. Because my own people won't accept me. So I'm African, I'm not really black. Does that make sense?
I don't think anybody makes that argument.
Not really.
Let me tell you something, Rose. I'm half Nigerian and my mom is Black American.
Oh my God.
And I can tell you this, you get stereotyped on both sides. It's not just Black Americans, it's Africans too. Africans put down Black Americans just as well as Black Americans put down Africans.
No, that's not true. Down Black Americans.
Let her fall, bro. Let her finish.
No, but I'm just saying it goes both ways, and I've experienced it because of my dad. He's Nigerian, and my mom's Black American. So, it goes both ways.
No, because sister, the reason why I disagree with you is because Nigerians have derogatory names for Black Americans within their language and culture. Black Americans, we don't create and we don't have derogatory names culturally for Africans. They call Black Americans Akatas, which means like lost panther, inferring we're lost or people have no direction, right? Usually a culturalist people. And then they call us cotton pickers and all kinds of slave babies and all that shit. We don't refer to Africans that way. They run to the African booty scratcher, which is children. But culturally, we use that against each other.
Okay, thank you for that. I want to say hello to MG real quick. What's up, MG?
Hey, JB. How are you?
You're my favorite African on the side.
Hey, JB, I just want to tell you that you living up to what you said. You asked a dumbass question.
Well, I still don't even know why you're on my stage or in my room, but go ahead, stay the only one. Yeah, bro.
Oh, he's absolutely wild. I've actually...
I wanted to respond to Abracadabra.
Yeah, okay. Black, thanks. Nosha, really appreciate it. We're going to move it along. You've had a lot of mic time. There are other people who have just joined the conversation, including Lee, who's been trying to get in. But MG, welcome to the stage. Really lovely to see you, as always. I'd love to be able to hear your contribution to it. I actually wanted to hear Rose, just beforehand. Rose was saying something. I just wanted to give her the opportunity to be able to maybe reflect upon a few things that have been said. See if you want to be able to add something to the conversation, Rose. No? Okay.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. NG, and we'll go to Lee.
Yeah, I just wanted to
that was
jump
kind
in
of
really
rude.
quickly.
That was
I
kind
just
of
want to jump in really quickly. I get tired of these conversations when you group all Africans. Like, Ethiopians don't have a word for Black people, for the record.
Wait, who's Creed? MG, who's Creed?
Abracadabra.
Thank you.
On stage. Creed, we don't have a word for African Americans in Amarinya. We really don't. So you guys group us. You guys group all Africans together. We're not a monolith. And I feel you, Rose. I feel the same way. I'm in shock when I hear Black people. I don't hear this in my real life, but I hear it on the app all the time, and it's stunning to hear the hate, the disgust, Like, I don't have this experience in my real life with black people, just on this app. So I understand what you're saying. It's incredibly shocking.
I didn't say all Africans. I literally said Nigerians have a derogatory term. I did not say all Africans. There are 54 countries on the continent of Africa, 3,300 ethnic groups. So I didn't say all
You said
Africans.
African, and I was in the chat. I was like, Nigerian.
Well, the thing is like, the thing is like, I'm just going based on my experience, just being an African. I have traveled the world. I've been in Asia, I've been in Europe, and in the United States, and I believe that I've experienced a lot more racism in the United States. But other than that, it's just something that probably is thought of by the Black Americans. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can elaborate on that.
Are you saying that black people teach their kids be prejudiced and discriminate and
No, I did not say that. I say maybe it's just absolutely, but I believe it's just main on the fact that we have gone through a lot as blacks throughout the world, colonizations or whatsoever, and that's why I made the point clear that even in Southern Africa, where I'm from, that's something that we also went through, and we were taught at home as well to kind of like, you know, be careful with the other nations and protect yourself. So, JW, maybe you can explain as to how you guys were taught.
There's some places in my town I won't even go. And I don't give a damn who there. I'm not going around. You know, look, we get to a point in our life, you'll get there one day where you just figure it out. Like, hey, you know what? There's good people, there's bad people. And that's that Barry is an extroverted leader.
Absolutely. And you know, I mingle well with my Black Americans. Not to say wrong, my ex-husband is Black American, my current husband is Black American, so you know, I just feel like maybe we should all educate ourselves with our culture and the way we're raised and what we went through in order to get along.
Let me ask everybody a question. I don't mean to hijack the room, but I just gotta ask this. If you needed a kidney transplant, would you prefer to have a black kidney or a white kidney or a Chinese kidney or a Mexican kidney? What would you prefer?
JW.
Wait a second. Well, hold on, bro. I don't care if you finish or not, but you accuse me of asking stupid ass questions.
No,
you
okay,
a
that's
dummy.
fine. Well, you gotta wait till I'm done. Wait till I get finished with the question before, okay? Because there's a point to this. You know, I don't say dumb shit for the hell of it. My simple point is, when people realize that under our skin, and I mean, I know people do realize that, but be behind that fucking 8 ball, okay? Be behind that goddamn 8 ball. Then you'll understand this whole fucking thing. That's why I get so.
You are making no sense. Zero sense.
I know, because you're not able to understand these.
I think he asked a great question, JB, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. He hasn't finished the question. He's talking about underneath.
This guy right here.
He just talked too much after he said it, but that question was good. It was dumb as hell, but it made a lot of sense. What kind of kidney would you want?
I wouldn't give a fuck as long as I can live. I don't care.
There you go.
Pick both dies.
And that's the point. And that's the point why we shouldn't be racist, right? And that's why it was a great question. I loved it. I loved that he asked. The brother dumb on a lot of things, but that question, that was nice.
I am not dumb. Shut the fuck up. You pissing me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I meant to say super dumb, not just dumb. Sometimes you're super dumb. I'll be honest with you. I appreciate it.
I would like for you to stall
Thank you for being dumb as hell again.
Hey, this stop.
Back to you, JB.
You know what's funny, Mom? You know what's funny, Ken?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
You come off mic and support this guy, and he still has an insult for you.
Well, look,
Well, I told you he's dumb, JB, so.
you call me dumb, bitch. What's wrong with you people? I bet you don't know a fucking thing. You know what y'all know? Y'all know the fucking internet. Y'all know fucking computers. I bet that's what you
JB,
job.
he's dumb. I wouldn't expect anything
Oh
less.
my God. Absolutely fucking nothing. Do you know what a fucking electron
Back to you, JB.
fucking resistor? You don't know shit. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Alright, I moved him down just so everybody could breathe all that intelligence in that he was spewing. Let me go to.
You never heard of a toxic relationship before, Pepe?
Man, I'm ready to go to bed now.
Faggot!
Len, how you doing?
It's fine. So I just wanted to address the point of the room, which is I read a really interesting book about this called Face to Face with Race by Jared Taylor. He writes for American Renaissance, and like 14 stories of like black people who were like perfectly neutral toward black people. And they had the experience of like working with them, or like going to school with them, and their impressions changed for the worse. Right? And so I don't think it's something that you learn at home. I think that a lot of people go into situations and they're neutral, and then they start having enough experience with people, and they build up a dislike. Now you look at the area that we live in here. Okay, we have like this is Michigan, by the way. We got like a lot of Arabs, we got a lot of Indians, a lot of Chinese. And you see those guys like meeting each other for the first time. You know, like their parents are immigrants and they come here and they meet like an Indian guy, like say a Chinese girl. And they find each other, and you see them date each other and partner with each other all the time, even the international students. So the experience that they have with them is like neutral, and then they have an experience and it's positive, and then it's fine. But it just doesn't seem to work that way for like a lot more often for black people. And you come on Clubhouse and you listen to some of these rooms, and it's like, I don't think it's helping the situation. It's not going to help it. So if you had like a neutral white person and they downloaded this Clubhouse app and they happened to cross a room with some Hebrew Israelites, okay, and they just sat and just listened, I don't think that the impression would be positive.
Now, you are aware you just used Jared Taylor. Jared Taylor is a bona fide white supremacist who the black people are an inferior race. He believes that white people are an inferior race and that they should be ruled over by the superior race, which are white people. That's Jared Taylor.
No, he writes something called American Renaissance, okay? And his thing is that, you know, he's had his fill of like, you know, interacting with black people and feeling responsible for them, and he's just saying he wants some separation. Now, he's not one of the, you know,
believes black people are inferior.
Okay, so what he's talking about is, okay, and I've read about this with him, and he's talking about, like, you know, the IQ distribution, and he's willing to concede that, like, you know, Chinese people, Japanese people are higher IQ than what normal, like, you know, white people are. But if he has to concede that, then he's conceding that the average can also differ in the other way, even if he ends up on the wrong side. And honestly, he's not the first one that said this. This has been observed many, many times by
But also believes that black people are inferior, sir. Yes, the IQ thing we use that, but he believes in the innate inferiority of the black race. He says that. He's on the record. I've been following Jerry Taylor for 25 years. I even met him one time. Jerry Taylor is a bona fide white nationalist, white supremacist.
Well, I mean, but do you think that his experience with black people made him such as he is?
No, I think he comes from a generation of white people who use that lie that, oh, I came across black people, I was raped by a black person, and therefore I hate black people. That is an old trope that white Americans receive from this generation.
Let's ignore Jerry Taylor.
Wait. If you look at the creation of modern suburbia, it's because white people have tried like hell to get the hell away from minorities. So there is some truth to that. Like a lot of white people develop opinions about black people because of experience.
It's a multitude of experience, like with social media. Jack Cassiel wrote a book called Untenable. I just read it here like in the last several months. And he was describing the situation. It was somewhere in New York where he grew up. It was, I think, upstate New York, if I don't miss my guess. And he was saying that They had a neighborhood there, and it was like working class white people. And he's like, they started to have like a lot of black people come there as a result of the Great Migration, and it turned into like a cesspit.